o'clock. Okay. Initially, Bowspring can seem a bit complex. There are a lot of different little things that we do that are quite different than traditional vinyasa flow. So I do my best in this class. Some of you guys, don't know it or haven't done much, if any, of it before. And so I try to keep it really familiar. So you do you, but really the heart of it, you guys, is really creating this harmonious power in the body that we invite like a steadiness, right? And it's sort of a yin yang practice where there are moments where we're really powerful, but also seeking at the same time, not separately, a quality of stillness, okay? And again, if you don't have your camera on, that's okay. I love having the cameras on to see you guys. Know that 100% you are not recorded. You are safe in your space. It's just for me to see you and give a little feedback. Lastly, the way I like to teach this class is a little bit here looking at you guys, so I can give direct feedback so it feels more intimate. And then occasionally I'll hop back on my mat if I feel the need to show whatever we're doing. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes if you look at me, you may not see the pose, so I have to be very exquisite with my words. All right, let's start laying down on our backs with the legs stretched out. So basically your Shavasana shape. Turn your palms rotated up. And just let yourself settle in for just a moment here, chilling out. We'll do a few big breaths like that. Power breathing, or maybe like a cleansing breath, you might know it more as. Just full inhale. And then a kind of a big release. Yeah, big inhale. And an intentional, kind of exaggerated, quick exhale. And what builds this dynamic power, you guys, keep going with those breaths as I give a little more guidance to what we're about to get into. What builds this dynamism of the practice, dynamic power, is really a sensitivity, right? Sometimes power can be seen as just kind of going in 100% strength right away. And there's moments where you might feel a bit like that today. We're going to work the body. I'm going to get you sweating and moving. But additionally, it's a balance. Again, that yin yang. Again, big breaths, breathe in. All right, so it's such a cool place when you can feel powerful, you feel like you got yourself, right? I'm toned, I'm strong, I'm standing upright, my posture's really healthy, but you're not hardened by that, right? It's not creating a lack of ability to see clearly what's in front of you. Keep going, big breaths, you guys. And then if you need to take breaks, just do some more normal breathing. We'll do about 1 more minute on our back. So it's that, and I liken it a lot to when I was learning how to rock climb for, a few years ago when I was new to it, that the importance of the importance of calming your nervous system, even when you're scared on the wall. And the actual change of your eyes, right? When we're scared, our eyes don't visually see all the opportunities, right? And I'm sure we've all experienced that on the rock wall. When we're nervous, when we're anxious, when we're a little scared of heights, that happens to me still to this day. My eye get really narrow. I can't see. It's more of a tunnel vision. Very similar to, or that happens to us even off the rock climbing wall. So when we can stay in our power and then also stay calm, you guys, the positive implications of that are really quite high. So now just stay here, you guys. Slow the breath or normalize the breath, just a normal deep breath, and extend your arms towards your ceiling. Yeah. And as the arms push towards the ceiling, I want you to work to uniformly tone your arms. So you're going to flap them like wings. You're going to push down directionally towards your knees a bit, and then bring them back up a little bit above the shoulders. And as you push down, I want you to think of toning the underside of your arm. So it's not just movement for the sake of it. Alternatively, you're actually pushing down, like imagine your hands are on a countertop and you're pushing, you're gonna get a tone. What it's gonna do is it's gonna hollow your armpit like this. It's gonna bring a suction cup, and that starts to expand the ribs. Now keep that, cross the right wrist over your left wrist. Yeah, push them into each other and roll left to right on your ribs. So the expansiveness of the ribs is step 1 to the bowspring. We call it a radiant heart. So it's not just physical, it's actually the expansive quality of the heart on all sides. Other side, come to center, switch out, left arm on top, right arm on bottom, tone the under parts of your arms and roll on your back. And you want to feel like a curved back or a buoy of a back, as if your back ribs are like a boat, nicely rocking in the harbor. That's it, you guys, so good. And then from here, come back to center, put your hands on the low belly and walk your feet, just bend your knees and walk your feet towards your hips. Kind of like you do when you're gonna do bridge pose, but you're not gonna do bridge pose. Yeah, cool. And then put the hands a little lower so they're gonna touch the creases of your hips right now as you lay on your back. And I want you to tip your pelvis so that the belly button lifts and your low back arcs. Yeah, the groins you're touching with your fingers are gonna go more down. Now hover your heels just barely off the floor and push them into the earth, like push the feet, push the front parts of your feet. We call that your paw. I want you to push them to the floor to tone the legs more. So just as I had you tone your arms in the warm up, I want you to tone your legs too. So this is a powerful part. Now, keeping that, put your hands on the lower part of your thighs, like so, just the nice liquid grip. I want you to try to push your thighs away from the ribs so your belly extends. And it's a rooting, and this not only calms your nervous system down, but it really gives a nice, super healthy stretch to the hips, to the belly, to all these important vital parts. Yeah, cool. Now we're going to recreate this in all fours. So take either arm overhead, roll over to that side, use the top arm to help push yourself up, and make your way to all fours on your yoga mat in your favorite way. Okay, so we're going to rebuild the same principles in all fours. So from all fours, start to spread the fingers wide, and then broaden the elbows out and pull the earth towards you and reach your heart forward of you. Inhale. As you exhale, start to push the hips back, but keep the tailbone up. So as the tailbone is up, the creases of your pelvis stay hollow. Inhale, pull forward and up. Exhale, push back and wide. So notice as I go back, what's going to want to happen is your head and tailbone are going to want to drop, right? So you're going to resist that desire to drop. Going forward and back as I'm showing for you here, radiating the heart bigger, the head lighter, and the hips stay open. Yeah, that's it. That's it. One of the hardest things about learning this method is going out of our old patterns, especially those that we're used to on our yoga mat. So have some patience. All right, let's stretch it out. Lift your knees up, curl the toes under, and just pedal out your feet. So simple. Yeah, you can go more to your normal downward facing dog. Keep it simple. So again, I balance the class so as to not overwhelm you, because it can be a lot of new info, but you know, ultimately, you guys, if you kind of stick with this, I'd love to keep sharing with each of you. The familiarity starts to, you know, layer on with each practice, and it's really quite cool. It's really quite cool. So from here, you guys separate your feet as wide as your yoga mat. Okay, really wide-legged downward dog. Yeah, spread the elbows really wide and let the hips also have the same opportunity, because you're bend the knees rather. Bend the knees and widen the hips more. Yeah, now pulse the body, pull forward as we did on all fours. Exhale, push back, widen the butt flesh. Yeah, as you go forward and back in this new plane, it's called a bowspring pulse. Keep the heels really low, even when you pull forward. So you're gonna educate your body to pulse from your belly. Yeah, good. Now, next time you're bent, your hips sitting back, start to walk your hands back too. Hands all the way back. And then slide them all the way up on top of your knees. Recovery pose, we call this. The hips still stay open and wide, but you can bear some weight in the arms to soften. Yeah. So it's a shape of power. Check it. Your ribs are a big circle or a big sphere. So are the hips, as is the head. And in between those three big spheres, there's a natural curve of the neck and the back, not flat. It's not flat. It's just a natural curve. Wag your tail, opening the hips way to the left, and then go way to the right. Keep going side to side. So we call that parallel parking. Okay, so when I say parallel park your hip, I might say right or I might say left, because I want you to actually open the pelvis, widen the sitting bone out, okay? That's part of this power that we're building, parallel park. Giving yourself some nice, interesting curves to move through the world, and similar to how a parallel park works. Keeping that open, hold the center, bow your head, and make the ribs bigger. Make the back of the ribs bigger, I should say. And think you're like a little kitten all of a sudden. And your mama cat is lifting you up from your scruff, from the back of the heart area. Yeah, now I want you to keep that big and wag that around, go side to side. So the power gives invitation towards a flow or a fluidity. It's not your vinyasa flow expectation, it's a different flow. And we move a lot of serpentine movements, okay? And this is so cool because then we work these various curves of fascia in the body, which we study in relationship to this practice of how fascia really works, from hip to shoulder, crisscross patterns and various different intricate patterns like that. Our bodies are not linear. And that's the big approach. Now come to center, keep the ribs there, keep the hips there, and now just move your head around a little bit. And as much as we work in Bowspring to open the ribs, to open the hips, we also look to expand the mind, right? Our cranium is probably going to stay the same size, but it's a mind expansion of thought, of theory, of what our bodies are capable of, even if we have injuries, even if we have challenges, physical limitations. Now come to center, close your eyes, just one more thing here, and move your eyes in figure eights, keeping the eyes closed. And it's a massage of the inner eye. You guys, that's such a place of tension for so many of us. The eyes just hold so much stress. So we're gonna work on the practice on how to soften that space, even when we're doing really challenging poses. Retrace the figure eight circles the opposite direction with your eyes. So it's just like anything, we work the muscles. You have all these different muscles all around the eye that allow it to do this. And when we work them, it's easier to soften them, right? Now come to center, open your eyes, gaze at the horizon. Yeah, super soft gaze forward. Bend the knees deeper, push the arms forward, inhale, stand all the way back up. Yeah, take your arms to what we call chin-up bar. Push your elbows forward and allow the ribs to open backward behind you. We're going to do some chin-ups. As you exhale, root the hips down, give yourself somewhere to go. Inhale, imagine you're holding a bar, do a big pull-up, exposing the belly, opening your hips. Do that a couple more times. Exhale, sit down. Inhale, rise up. And it's a power that you lay back into. Keep going down and up. And it's laying back into your posterior chain of musculature. Really imagine you're doing a pull-up. That's how much I want to tone your arms. This is not a decorative shape. It's a power pose. Good, now hold the sides of your head and do the same thing towards a supportive back bend. The hands are there to give you something to lay into. And the back of your heart has space and fullness. Exhale, sit low, inhale, rise. Exhale to sit low, inhale to rise up. Yeah. That's it, Paula. Narrow the elbows a lot, you guys. When your elbows are more narrow, it'll help the ribs to actually get bigger, believe it or not. You're going to tip over to the right side, right ear to the right shoulder, and lay the right hand down on the right leg for a little more support. Exhale, root, inhale, rise up and over the right ribs. Repeating a couple on that side. Exhale, root, slide the groins back. Inhale, rise. This time, same thing, but look a little more down towards the floor with your gaze. And so it's an unveiling of the base ribs rising up and off of the left hip. Then start to open it again, gazing more forward. And then cross your right hand outside the left leg and start to twist more open, heart towards the sky. Be careful not to collapse in the ribs here. The ribs stay so big to give space for the back to open up fully. And the power you develop is not a stacked power, it's curvy. Yeah. Inhale, come back up to the center. Push your arms way out in front of you. Hold space for the heart to expand and go a little like this, side to side. Like the seaweed swaying in the ocean. Train your eyes to stay soft and relaxed, even as, to be expected, nervous system might be triggered. Or moving the body in a new way. Take the hands, go chin up bar again. Let's actually do this. Let the arms relax. Before we go to the other side, one more thing that I think will help us all. Bring less weight to your heels. So bend the knees a bit more. And you don't have to lift your heels. Don't lift them yet. I just want you to put more weight towards the front part of your feet. Now, once you feel like you've established that, push. Hover your heels barely off the ground. Let me stand where you can see my feet. Just a little bit. Now, with the heels hovering, super hovering, push into the ground and sit super deep, reaching your arms out in front of you. Yeah, so kind of a hovering heel chair pose, if you will. Glide the ribs side to side. Calm the gaze, the eyes are soft. And the fluidity that you're capable of building in the body of the ribs is but directly resulted to the amount of power you're able to build in the legs right here. That's cool. Inhale, rise to center, chin up by the arms, and then glide them to hold the sides of your head. Now just tuck the thumbs behind your ears. Wrap the elbows narrow, make the ribs bigger, lift up and over to the left. And notice how I do it, you guys. I root first, and then it's like I bounce. Exhale, root, soften the arc, inhale, rise. Let's support ourselves, left hand to the left leg. Gives a little more chance for that left side to not lose its length. Yeah, nice, Liz. Narrow the elbow though. Yeah, that'll give more space. Now gaze more to the floor. Lots of new spirals you're learning today. Left hand pressures, right ribs rise up and away from the right hip. A deep little twist here. Start to cross the hand to the other leg and open belly to the sky. Keep your left elbow not stuck into your belly, but widen it out. So as you're evolving in your twist, there's rotation from T12, base thoracic. Nice, inhale, come back to center. Exhale, mountain pose. Let's do a couple more traditional sun A's to just kind of get a little more in your comfort zones. Inhale, arms to the sky, make a big full stretch. Exhale, sit back, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, hands to shins, go long. Exhale, flow, step or hop back to your plank. You can put your knees down first if you wish, chaturanga. Inhale, open the belly, upward facing dog or cobra alternative. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's just take a few breaths here. Perhaps pedaling out the feet, wagging your tail. So it's cool, these principles, you can kind of sprinkle them into your traditional practice for self-education every day. Remember the parallel parking I taught you? So as you're here, bend your knees a little bit, just a little, so they're more springy versus locked. And then just wag your tail, and the feet might swivel. Your feet might actually swivel, pointing more a little bit left and a little bit right. Now, once you get the hang of that, draw rainbows with your tailbone. So these are the curved, powerful, curvy shapes you're building. Yeah, and then keeping that, bring your gaze a little more forward and puff the ribs up. And keep going side to side. Yeah, so that's the radiance of it, is the ribs stay full, heart open. Nice, come to center, step your right foot through, spin your left heel down, put your right elbow on your right leg. Let's actually do this one, put both hands on the knees. So you stepped forward and you're in a wide, long stride. Your hands are on your knees, both of them are gonna bend. Yeah, that's it, cool. I like to get closer so I can see you. Look at your left heel and swivel it just a little bit out. So instead of the foot being turned towards the back of the mat, now put your left hand up on your booty. Don't be shy. And open the hips. Do a little, we call it molding. And it's just untucking the pelvic floor. And if we've been going through a lot of stress or a lot of fear, we're just sitting and watching Netflix a lot. This is such a useful tool, just practicing untucking our pelvic floor for lots of power. Now keep it open, put your right elbow on your right leg, and extend your left arm over your head. And we make this a pulse. So on your exhale, bend the knees, sit back. And on your inhale, reach the ribs up and away from the left hip. Gazing more forward of your space, it becomes a little back bend. Exhale, root the hips back. Inhale, rise and stretch. So do a few more and notice it's a pump. It's like if you've ever studied anatomy, your intestines do this thing of squeeze and release, and it's called peristalsis. It's how fluids and food and things move through you. So it's a very natural movement for the body. Squeeze, release. Intense but calm. Strong but sensitive. Yeah, cool. Now coming back up to standing, straighten both your legs, put your hands on your hips, and swivel the right foot parallel to the left. Yeah, cool. From here, elongate your spine, go full stretch up. We'll do a forward fold to soften. Exhale, hinge at your hips, touch the earth, and do a little shaking out of the upper body. But whilst the upper body shakes out and wiggles out, my invitation for you is to keep your legs strong. So that really helps. If the legs are doing that push, the dig drag I called it when I had you hover your heels and push powerfully, then the ribs get so much sweet play. Cool. From here, put your hands on the ground, lift the ribs a bit, hover the heels and swivel them into the diagonal. Yeah, bend the knees deeply, take a deep squat, hover the hands. Yeah, this is the power stuff. So it's like you're a sumo wrestler, and something sumo wrestlers do is they spank their own butts to awaken the power in the backside. So, I mean, we're not going to, if you want to, we're not going to do that, but you got to really wake it up. Lift the arms, take them high. Imagine there's a table right here in front of you. Push down into it to rise up. The heels are hovering. You can't see mine, they're not on the ground. I'm just pushing with my paws. Exhale as the hips go back down, the arms rise up, pelvic floor is open. By the way, you're not stacked. Check it, I'm at the ankle. Push down, rise back up. So you're literally pumping your body. Exhale low, inhale high. Do about 5 more if you have it in you. Check it, uniform tone. If your quads are taking over, we have a lot of fun to have together moving ahead. Get the back body to work for you. Not just the front body, it's a uniformity. Pump it, rise it. Good, last one. We'll stay standing and we'll just step to the front of your yoga space. Relax, take a moment. Ground through all 4 corners of each foot. And just notice what came up for you, right? If the quads overworked, I have so much to share with you to help you with that. Getting uniform tone is a big, big goal of this class. Arms go out in front now. Tone your arms. Remember what we did on the ground? Let's do it one more time. Right wrist over left. Push the right hand down into the left arm. So it's as if this left arm is a tabletop. That's how strong it is. Now use that push to lift the bottom of the right ribs up to a side bend. That's it. Let the head tip away from the elevating ribs. Good, Paula. So it's pressure and then it's softness. Opposite side, come to center. Left wrist over right. Right arm is so strong. Push down with the left. Arc to the right by way of pushing down with the left hand, or excuse me, the left arm. All the way up into the armpit, there's a tonus. One more time each side. This time, bend the knees. Right wrist over left, sit deep. Lean more forward and pulse it. Exhale, root. Inhale, base of the right ribs rise. And there's this length of the belly that doesn't come from straight body, curvy body it is. Back to center, left arm over the right, tone, tone, tone. Arc to the right, left ribs rise, and then pulse the action. Lean forward, sit the hips back, bow and lift from the base ribs. Keep the glutes parallel, parking, yeah. Make space to breathe. Inhale, come back to the center. Release, sun A, inhale, arms up, big stretch. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at your healthy hips, touch light. Inhale, half lift, open the belly. Chaturanga flow, take your time. A little familiarity for y'all. Inhale, big stretch into your up dog. We'll enjoy the down dog for a moment. Heels low, tailbone high. Great stretch to the back sides of the legs. Let's go back to those big breaths. Couple cleansing breaths. Good, bend the knees a little bit. Think dynamism, lift the ribs, gaze forward. Pull forward and back a few times. So you're gonna pull the ribs, it's as if, pretend you're a little kitty cat. and you're at the top of a building, and your fingertips are at the edge of a super tall building, and you're peering over the edge to see the streets below. The more you pull forward, for safety purposes, is the more you want to root your hips back. So therein lies the length of the spine. So good. Step the left foot forward, spin the right heel in at the angle. Inhale, rise up, put your hands on your knees and let the energy settle. So lean way, way forward, like so, way forward. Yeah, almost like you're playing softball or you're an outfielder, waiting in between. You're not super ready for anything, you're just hanging out. But the tailbone tips up, and that's a rewiring of your nervous system. That's powerful. Getting out of a fearful tuck that we tend to do when we're relaxing, and actually embodying power, even in a place of softness where we're just catching our breath here. Yeah. Check your right foot, take a little peek down there, and make sure the heel is slightly turned out. So now hold the glute and do a couple lifts. You guys, you're safe. You're in your homes, especially like now is the time to discover this practice more than ever. You're safe. You can really get some space back there. Untuck, untuck. Feel the quality of the tissue, just like a massage therapist would do. Big sensitivity to self here. Cool. Keep that open. Exhale, put the left elbow down to the left leg. Extend your right arm above the head. Do some pumps. Exhale, bend the knees, sit your hips back. Inhale, reach the ribs up and away. So in the pulse, you're working this distance. Right hip to base right ribs. You're actually trying to pull those two apart. We're not trying to move together. They're literally working this peristalsis action of pulling apart powerfully. You can lay back, you can open the throat, you can even add a little back bend in at the front or at the top of the inhale as you gaze forward. But the ribs behind your heart stay full. Yeah, that's it. Inhale, rise up, put your hands on your hips, adjust the feet parallel. Good. Bring your hands to hold the sides of your head. Wrap the elbows narrow. And then lift the ribs as the hips lower. So the ribs go up as your hips go down. And then inhale, root the hips rather, and rise the ribs, back bend, opening to sky. Exhale, root the hips low. Inhale, rise the ribs high. Pulse a few more times. Every time, maybe getting a little deeper in the back bend. Maybe, yeah, bring the elbows really narrow, you guys, Liz, yeah. Now sensitive on the hands to the skull. There's a sensitivity there like crazy. Yeah, good. Now come to center. Bring the arms out in front of you. Tone the arms like I've been teaching you today. Yeah, even flap your wings a couple times. Push down to lift the ribs up. Do it again. Lift the arms and then practice pushing down to lift the ribs up. Do it 3 more times without using your neck excessively. So it's a discovery of some much deeper muscles that you have in the ribs, in the core, in the back. Neck stays long. And bend the knees deep, keep the feet as they are. Touch just the fingertips softly to the ground. Yeah, just like that. You guys are doing great. So soft. There's no weight buried in your hands. Yeah. Now slide them forward and put them flat on the ground. Put a little bit of weight and then peer over the edge of the building again. Gaze just over the edge. Exhale, bend your knees, sit back and sit wide. Inhale, pull forward and gaze over the edge of the building. You can keep with these, or you can try to go a little faster and add a hop. So as you pull forward, feet go up and then down. Up and then down. Now the goal is to land softly and lightly. No sound on your landing. The hop can be tiny, by the way. It doesn't have to be a handstand. Your feet could come 1/2 inch off the ground and you're doing the practice. The goal here, use your backside. That's it, Paula. Use the glutes and actually elevate them up as you go. Catch air, catch curves, not stiffness. So good. Let's do our frog pose. So this is real passive. Put the knees to the earth. Cushion is needed. And go really wide and also widen your feet. So if you could look, it's kind of hard, but the shins are parallel to each other. And the toes turn out to the side. Yeah, elbows to the ground. Some of you know what it is. You can just go right in. You don't have to wait for me. On the exhale, root the hips back more. Not far, just a little. And on the inhale, come forward and up. A little bit. It's a little pulse, by the way. Exhale, root the hips back. Inhale, soften it a little. Ribs come forward. And breathe. And notice if the back of your heart here went collapsed place, right? That's a thing we do when we're kind of scared and we want to protect ourselves. We pinch our elbows back and we tend to squeeze tension. So with the elbows on the ground, like we did in the chin-up prep, I'd like for you to push down to let the back of the ribs get super full. It's like your ribs are suddenly a helium balloon versus like a hardened box or a hardened board. You actually ask for there to be full space behind you. Yeah. Now, after you've done these pulses, let's just hold the pose for a few breaths. Minimal to no movement. Move if you need to, or if it does sound good. It's just finding a little bit of stillness in the shape. And this is a powerful place, you guys, to house the hips for openness. And then we start to actually reshape our bodies with this practice. So the conversation doesn't always have to be every day, oh, my posture is bad, I better lift myself back up. Instead, if we keep coming back to this, training the tissues for opening, curvy length, natural length, your body actually starts to crave it and come back to this shape with much more ease than prior. Right? If our practices are always ones that fold us in, right? It can be hard to, and forward folds are lovely, they're really nice, but if we're not spending time in these powerful shapes, it's really hard for the body to go there, especially when we're in a place where we need that power, like when we get scared or really stressed. Let's do 2 more breaths here in your frog pose. When you come out, slowly rise up to your hands. Let the hips move forward, slide the feet closer, and make your way to all fours, readjusting yourself on your yoga mat to face the front. Do some movements here, either forward and back, or big curls of the spine, or cat-cow if you love that. Yeah, just all fours, release. Cool. And then establish to the curve. So check it. From here, find your center, activate your glutes so they're mounding upward. Tip your head over to the left ear, left shoulder. And by lifting the right ribs, bring the right hand to the soft tips of your fingers. Inhale and open that side so big. Exhale, bringing the right hand back to the ground softly. Sit the hips back. Other side, inhale, right ear, right shoulder. Left hand domes, left ribs lift. Exhale, come back. We'll repeat just a couple more on each side. The education here is calm the nervous system by not over-tensing your fingers. The lift of the hand coming to the fingertips, to what we call dome, is by way of the rib cage getting lighter. And this is that postural stuff I was talking about. When the body can fill the ribs and hold ourselves up due to our practice, it takes so much weight off the low lumbar. And again, we get to that place where we don't have to think about good posture as much. It's just inevitable. We want to awaken to it. Yeah, so good. All right, you practice center, curl the toes, lift your hips, downward dog. Pedal out your legs a couple times. We'll revisit some of these shapes. So bend the knees and start to peer over the edge of your building. Heels stay low, hips push back, gaze right over the edge. Exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, 2 more, pull forward. So you're pulsing the whole body. Yeah, it's a wave form. Yeah, good, you guys, good, Liz.
and the ribs are full. The more the ribs can lift, the lighter the load on your wrists. Cool, step your right foot through. Again, left heel down. Inhale, put your hands on your knees. Power pose. We call this one tribal, actually. Sit the hips way, way back, and then slide your right hand to the right ankle. Start to extend your right leg, avoiding hyperextension. Yeah. Exhale, bend the right knee. Inhale, extend the right knee. The left hand is still on the left knee, giving you a little support, a little something to push into. Yeah, so we call this one a Shri triangle. And check it, all the muscles of the backside are moving up. They're not sinking down. Next, keep doing what you're doing with the lower body and extend your left arm overhead, lifting the left ribs high, and keep pulsing the legs from bent to extended. Lessen the weight in your heels and dig more into your paws, the fore part of your foot, the front part. Arc the left ribs super high as the left arm is low. Good. Orient your body to face the earth. Frame the front foot and then bring the hands out. So it would be a triangle with the right foot in the hands. Lift the left leg up and open it. I'll reorient myself. Open the leg out to the side. The knee is bent, the hips are open. Sitting way, way back into your hips. Bend the base leg. Inhale, float the ribs up. Slowly coming to standing without putting the left foot down. It stays open. Kind of a dog at a fire hydrant. Yeah. Narrow the left knee, but widen the foot. That will open the pelvis. 3 times, low to high. Glide, hinge at the hips, light touch on the earth. Oops, I lost my balance. Inhale, lifting the ribs, rise back up. Twice more. The more you sit back, the more power, dynamic power, responsive power you'll have. Inhale up, exhale lower. Next time we're up, we'll stay there. Briefly pause, catch yourself in your hips, and then release. Move the ribs, go a little side to side. Ask for more space on all sides of the heart. All sides. Yeah. Even take your arms like this, you guys. Go forward and take the elbows instead of in, widen them out so it will be a rotation inward. And then notice in that spiral, the base of the ribs can get bigger. Now, keep that, don't lose that, and rotate the palms up. Yes, don't lose it, right? Stay big, that's it. Now lift your chin up. Open your throat up, bend the knees, sit back. Imagine you're driving a sailboat. Tip right and left. The catch here is you're driving your sailboat with your ribs. It's not your arms. That's stressful control. It's the inner body gliding in the shape of a big circle. And it's just like those initial arcs I warmed you up with to teach you some of the basics. And note that I'm increasing complexity as we go, so you guys are doing a great job. To stay with the practice is certainly, a high level of intelligence and studentship. Big ribs. Come back to center. Let's do a sun A, refresh ourselves. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, chaturanga, step or hop back. Take a little flow on your own. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, take your dog. Widen the feet a little more than you're used to on this one. And bend the knees. And remember when we started class and had you guys put your fingers on your groins and hollow them by untucking your pelvis? Do that here without your hands helping you. Really root the groins back. And then out of that, let the low belly distend, let it open. Then look over your edge of your building. Pull forward, but keep the hips back. Keep the heels low. So the spine has to learn how to get long. Inhale, see as I pull over, the heels aren't lifting to do my work. I'm keeping them low, and it's the core. Yes, Paula, you're so good. You're getting it great. Next time you sit back, we'll stay there and then step the left foot through for the other side. Spin the right heel in, rise up as we did before, orient into a little bit of softness. Wag your tail a bit. So something to share for me, you know, early days of this practice when I was learning it many years ago, it was just uncomfortable to do this because nobody had ever asked me to. And the initial reaction was, that's wrong, right? It's not the norm. But then I was having a lot of back pain at the time. So sticking with it, or every time I did it, even when I was a little scared and unsure, I would notice my back pain would alleviate significantly because I was inviting space in my natural curves. Let's keep moving. Put the left hand down on the ankle. And try straightening your front leg, keeping the glute on the rise. So I hope my angle shows. As my left leg elongates, my tail doesn't tuck. And you repeat it a few times to train the mindset. To stay open pelvis, full ribs, long belly, open throat, even at the apex is something as hard as a straight leg. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Now let's go bigger. Right arm overhead, reaching through the ribs to get longer. And so even at this height, even at the tip top part of my Shri triangle, we call it, because it's not traditional triangle, my tailbone's still on the rise. Ribs are on the rise. And I don't want you guys to do this today because I know many of you are beginners, but eventually we don't need that left hand on, just to give you a little where it goes. Right, the left hand, the body gets so light in this model of tensegrity that there's less need to dunk down as we learn how to lift ourselves up so effectively. 2 more. Pulse, exhale, root, inhale, stretch long belly, open throat, tip the head to the left, and allow the right ribs to rise. Yeah, you guys. All right, level it up. Here we sweat, crawl forward, make a triangle, hands and left foot, open leg right. So the knee pushes forward. Check it, my knee's not behind me. It's forward. Yeah, sit hip back. Yeah, Liz. Now start to stand by sitting back. Left knee's bent. Belly stays long. Up and down. To keep the fullness of the dynamic power, the belly doesn't shorten. I don't hunch my back. I sit back and I keep the elevative quality of my pelvic floor. Most especially in those moments when it's wavery, when it feels unsteady, I have my seat with me. Yeah. Good, 1 more. Exhale, belly long. Inhale, rise to vertical. Exhale, release, earth. Positions that the ribs glide a little side to side. And the glide is an invitation to stay full. So what do we tend to do when we're tired? We C-curve, we collapse. So check it, even in the fatigue, we can stay full, we can stay light. Now I'll demonstrate if you guys want to get a good view of the camera where you're going to go with this. And it is for all levels, but this is kind of the apex of our practice. So we're going to, again, get a good angle here. We're going to come to this open leg. Remember where we were a little bit ago before we did the ups to downs? From here, lift it enough. You're going to slide your hands to be flat on the ground. You're going to push the knee down and the glute up. You'll hop and switch. Hop and switch. Hop and switch. Hop and switch. Like a cartwheel. Go for it. Now remember the rainbow arc I asked you to learn much earlier in our class today? When you were arcing your tailbone side to side? Do that here. Yeah, Paula. Knee low. For this one, glute high. It's like sitting into your upside down pelvic floor seat. Work towards landing lightly versus banging the foot down. Look out for dogs in the way. The lighter you land, it's a sign that you're starting to understand the system. We call it an algorithm of the Bowspring, and it's cool, nice. Let's do a squat. There's a dog in the way, but he's so cute. So deep squat, you can come down low. You can put the heels down or lift them up, whatever works for you. Let's go hands to heart and just catch our breaths. Even here, so this is a great place, you guys. Think about the circumferential, not even circumferential, it's not just a circle of the ribs, it's spherical of the ribs. Right? As you breathe, notice it's not just the front, it's not just the sides, it's expansive, just like the energetics of the sun, right? So that's a big piece of our work, especially when we do some of our breathing practices in this method, is really getting fully into the space, into the home of the heart, the thoracic area. And just like any muscle, the more we work it, the stronger it gets. The more we love, the more love we receive, and the more love we can cultivate in our own. The more we expand the ribs, the stronger they are. Making your way to all fours, bring the hands softly to the earth, bring the knees back. Super light, yeah. And again, a little movement, a little swirly swirl, snake, snake, you know, kind of a whatever time for you to recharge and reinvest in your increased sensitivity of the spine. Cool. All right, the best part, take it to the floor. So we'll bring the knees over to one side of your mat, doesn't matter, lower to the hip. Tip the head, place the front hand down, slide softly onto your side. So the transitions are just sweet. Roll onto your back, roll to the center of your yoga mat. Widen the feet a bit. Take your hands and take the right hand actually and hold the left ribs. Yeah, not super high by the armpit, go a little low, the base ribs. Now take the left hand and hold your right shoulder. Tip your head to the right a little bit on the floor there, and take 5 deep breaths into your right ribs. 5 deep breaths. So these places, I consider them, or I sometimes refer to them as your fish gills when I teach to help be specific. The side ribs tends to be a place of closure and a lack of sensitivity when we're in a fear place. It becomes numbing. And so this practice invites the opposite, an expansion that invites, let's not be numb. Let's open it up. Let's feel what's there. Let's work through it. Yeah. Inhale, let's come back to arms to center, realign the head. Exhale, left hand to the right ribs. Again, a little low, not by the armpit so much, more low ribs, right hand, left shoulder. Tip the head left, and your emphasis is getting the left hand more sensitive. And just that, right? It's not can my ribs be sensitive, but are my hands sensitive too? Hold yourself similarly to how you may hold a newborn baby, right? There's sensitivity. Am I holding the little one safely? You know, am I over gripping or am I under gripping, right? We're good at that when it comes to the littles, to the innocents. Can we give ourselves that same degree of hold, of space, of support balanced with softness? Really breathe there, you guys. Exaggerate the breath. Notice the inner expansion. We'll take it easy. We'll come back to center. Reach the arms up to the ceiling. And then lift your legs up and hold the back sides of your knees. Okay. So I know many of you are more accustomed to happy baby. Mix it up a little bit. I want you to find power even here. So push the leg away from you like this, so your arms are straight. Rotate your elbows out like we've been doing the whole class, and make the ribs, walk them away from the hips. Yeah, so the distance of the belly is longer. The distance of the back is longer too. Now untuck your pelvic floor. Try to get your belly button higher than your pubis. That's the very base of the pelvis. Belly button higher, so it's untucking. Soften your toes. Flex the ankles, but soften the toes. And now push legs away from you and crown of the head opposite direction. So there's earth and there's sky. There's root and there's wings. Now, keeping the length, roll side to side on the hips. Feel more push of the earth into the gluteal area versus the low back that we more often do. Side to side, rolling. on the hips, on the glutes. Cool. Lengthen one leg out at a time. Use your hands, one more molding, use the hands, untuck the pelvis, go one side and then the other, with the legs all the way out, Melissa. Yeah, so the legs aren't gonna have to change after this. As we started, put your fingertips in your groins and encourage, push them down. And out of those pushing down, as the thighs push down, reach the belly away, even move the ribs more away if needed. Yeah. Take the hands, hold the back of your neck. This is the last one. Fingers to the back neck, pull up and massage the natural curvature of your neck. This is such an important place to keep radiant, curvy, and open versus the opposite, which so much of our phones create, is a flat neck. And that's where we get neck issues. So you pull the tissues up into the bones and then even spread your fingers while they're back there to make it longer in the curve. In the curve. So good. Massage it whatever else you need. You might find some little nuggets of tension back there. Then when ready, arms widen for Shavasana. You could do cactus. You can just take your hands out by the sides, whatever you prefer at this point. Relaxing and allowing. So there may be this tendency, ooh, I'm so open in the throat. Oh, I want to tuck. That's how your tissues know. They hold memory of our shape, of your shape. And the things we pattern, the things we're doing every day, inform them. So this practice, I so love it because it's a continual revisitation of questioning, why do I do this? Why do I habit and default pattern, move in these ways? And how can I potentially, shift the trajectory, even in the smallest amounts, right? Better to be small increments to not overwhelm the body, right? These small increments of redirect into a place not only of more dynamic power, that's a great result of this practice, but a place of less pain, of the ability to keep healthy posture throughout the day, truly the ability to intelligently lift heavy things if you're moving or holding a small child, to inform the body for health and radiance. And let the breath go. Let the belly be soft, much like a puddle of mud. And I'll stay here with you, holding space for your Shavasana. I'll put on a little music in the background. When we get to the end of the hour, I will wake you back up. So for now, just hang loose. Note that this part of the practice is equally important to the active part. At home, it can be easy to hop up and get distracted. I know from very personal experience. So really let yourself nurture, just about 2 minutes. Give yourself that gift of peace.
I leave you here today to stay a bit longer. I'll keep the music going for another 10, 20 minutes, however long you need. No rush to pop up and turn off your device. Nurture yourself, take good care of yourselves, drink lots of water. Lots and lots. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks so much for being on this journey with me. Namaste.